Hello and welcome to DPN TV here at the DPN Rover car collection, and I thought what I'd do is a little video on the ventilation system of a Metro. This is our MGF Reg Metro, and it's an ideal one to do because this has the dashboard in it that really didn't change right the way to the end of the Metro. The very early Metros had a different dash in, but most Metros you find had variants of this dashboard. Little tweaks happened when it was the Rover Metro, but very little. If we have a little look at the ventilation system, just where the vents are at the moment, then we're going to a narrow screen in a minute, but you can more or less see the face vents that are here and one past the driver's side. You've got a little demist vent there, the demisters along the top, and of course you've got the little feet blower vents right down under there. Now the only differences there is and it's good actually being in the MG Metro, because I think the MG and the Van and Pla were the only ones that actually had vents here and here on the Austin Metros, maybe a little bit when they were Rover Metros. And when you went to the full Rover Metro, the K-Series engine, then they all had vents here and here, but a lot of the Austin Metros you'll find had a clock here and a little coin tray blanking point there. But apart from that, the ventilation system and the dash really didn't change all that much. You may find that on the Rover K-Series Metros you've got a little dial fan with 3 speeds, and here it's just a switch with 2 speeds. But I think really they are the only real differences right the way through the range from when they got this dashboard all the way through. Right, so I've now got the camera back in a normal sort of lens rather than the wide angled lens to do the rest of this video, but I thought it was worth having that just so we could get a full look at the dashboard. So if we have a little look at the ventilation controls, quite simple and straightforward, but very similar to many cars, just that these are the slider type rather than the dial type. But many cars this here did use the what I call the slider type. So you've got on this side here, nearest to me, is your hot and cold. So down is cold, up is hot, and in the middle you will get a variance. And here you've got a selection for feet, demist, and purely on your face. And you've got a 2 switch. So there's slow, and there's fast, and there's hot off. Now, most of the time when we're using the Metros, we have it on fan 1, whether that's winter and summer, once we've got it set to the sort of comfort we want, whether that's completely cold or completely hot. And it's only really when the car is particularly cold you have it on fan 3 to get the most heat in, and obviously on a very hot summer's day you have it on fan 2 to get the car, or to get as much air into the car as possible. So we were talking about the hot and cold. Now this Metro, as far as I know, works quite different to a lot of cars out there, especially slightly modern cars, but even older cars as far as I'm aware, in the fact that most cars, when you go to hot, what this lever is doing is actually pulling a cable to a little tap that lets the hot engine water bypass through a little heater matrix under your dash, normally behind here, and the air goes through that and gets heated. And then when you put it down to cold, you turn that tap off, and that stops the warm water coming through the heater matrix, and it just bypasses around the engine and the rest of the coolant system. Now on the Metros it doesn't work like that. The actual heater matrix under the dash has the hot water flowing through it all the time. There is no way of turning that water off. What this actually does is directs the air through a flap So when you have it set to cold, the flap covers the hot heater matrix and the air just blows straight through. And when you move it to hot, that flap redirects the air, or allows the air to flow through the heater matrix and then through to the rest of the cabin. So that's one thing that's worth being aware of. You'd think it would mean that you never really get fully cold air in the summer. Well, I suppose in some ways you don't, but you don't actually notice it being heated either. It's just something to be aware of. So in some ways you could say it's just as effective, because when you have it halfway, the air gets mixed between cold and hot, rather than the tap turning the radiator down and you're just getting a warmer heat that way. So that's the first thing to cover. The other thing is that these face vents, whether that's you've got one each side over there, or you've got the ones in the middle, they always blow cold air, whatever you have this set to. So even if you set this to hot, they do not get warm air coming through them. Now, I did read somewhere once that did cause a lot of problems, and people thought there was a mistake with their heating system, because they'd put it onto hot, these would still be open, and the cold feel like it was never warming up. Well, that's not the case. So what you'd need to do is actually turn these all off like this up to the white dot, and that's the setting. You've got a blue dot for air blowing through them, white dot for closed. You'd have to go around, turn them all off, and then the hot air would come through either your demist vents, which are here and here, having it set on that setting, or you'd push it down perhaps once the car's demisted, and it would then come out of your vents under there. So that's how you'd get full air. You would have to close those off and get the air full. Now, the other thing to check if things aren't working quite right is that the cables are adjusted down on the heater box. Now, I must say we have had, let me think, 4, 5, 6, 7 Metros at one stage, and we never had to readjust any of the cables. Maybe we sort of worked around it by adjusting these just a little bit more one way or the other, but I don't ever remember that. So I think we never really needed the cables adjusted as far as we know. So that's certainly not a problem, but I did read somewhere that was one of the things people found, that those cables unadjusted, there was problems. But I think mainly it was probably because people weren't closing these. So the other thing is, if you don't close these, the air obviously takes the easiest path. So what it will do is come out of these and not come out of your demist vents, or hardly come out of them. We always like quite a bit of cool air in the car, so we'd probably tend to normally have these open. What I'll show you is some of the ways we use the heater system in the Metro, because I think that's always useful. You may be using it your own way, and this could show you how we got on. As I say, we had about 7 Metros at one stage. We had quite a bit of experience, especially on our winter runs, of getting the heating system right in these. So I thought it was well worth giving you some sort of hints, tricks and tips that we use. You might find it useful. Maybe you've just got a Metro and this is of interest to you as well. So if I show you some of the settings that we would use, that we found got the heating system working well. So for demisting the car, we'd have it up to full heat. The fan switch to number 3. This would come up to your demist, and then we'd close all these off, and that would make sure you're getting full hot air blowing through the vents on the window screen and your little side vents there. And once the car had begun to demist down, and again, like most heat systems, once it warms up, and it will take quite a time to warm up, especially if you've got the A series engine in your Metro. The K series warms up a lot quicker. The A series takes quite a time to warm up and get hot. But once it does get hot, it's normally too hot, and we would then normally bring it down to about halfway and probably turn it back to fan 2. And then if we wanted a little bit more cooler, fresh air, we'd then open these vents. But in the real cold winter, these would tend to stay closed, so we had warm air coming through. And then the only other thing we might do is on a longer journey is put it down to the feet, so the warm air comes through the feet. But I tended to never use that. Most times it was on demist. Once the car was demist, halfway there, and to let a bit more fresh air in, we would open, you know, your vents that run along the dashboard system. So that was sort of what we do in the winter for everyday running and heating, and obviously demisting the car as well. Some people in modern cars will use the air conditioning. So talking about air conditioning for summer and winter, as far as I'm aware, the Metros in the UK never actually had air conditioning. As far as I know, no Metros ever had air conditioning. It'd certainly be very rare if they did. Abroad, some did, although I'm not quite sure how it worked, because as I said, this only redirects the air and doesn't actually turn the heater matrix off. So I assume it was quite a different heater box behind there for the air conditioning to work. But yeah, there's no air conditioning on the Metros as far as I'm aware to aid you with demisting or cooling. So if we go over to what we'd normally do in the summer, well, in the summer we'd have this down to cool, and probably sort of April, May time, if it was you know, getting warm, we didn't need the heating on, we'd still leave it on the demist, but we'd open these. And what that would mean is that the air would be coming through these and there, and then we would vary it between fan 1 and 2. And then once the full summer comes, we would move it up to there, so all the air was coming through your face vents. And there, if you've got the middle vents, then the passenger can have 2 directed on them, and the driver can have this one and this one directed on you. And actually that gives you quite a bit of cool air. Now if these aren't there, obviously all the air gets directed to the 2 outer ones. You really did get a nice volume of air flowing through those vents. And again, you'd vary it between fan 1 and 2 depending on how hot it would be. And of course you'd have the windows down and the skylight, if you had one, open as well. Like if you've watched our 45 video with the ventilation system and how we use it, we always had at least fan 1 on. We prefer a nice fresh air coming into the car, winter or summer. I know a lot of people turn the fan off and just let natural air flow through. As I say, I find that then when you get stuck in traffic or you're going on much slower roads, very little air will come through, and the fan just gives you a nice steady amount of air. The fan switches, we did find they sometimes used to wear out. It depended on the car. The little resistor is actually with the heater motor under the bonnet just there. We never needed to change those, only on one car. They didn't seem to actually fail, but we did go through a few of these switches, and we often used to get them from the scrapyard because I think a lot of people don't have them running all the time. This car never suffered with that problem though, so it was only 2 of them that ever seemed to go through fan switches. So whether there was a slight bit of resistance or we were just using those cars a little bit more, I don't know. But yeah, so probably the feet vent we very rarely used. A very cold day on a long journey, we might have removed it off the demist. But yeah, I would say most of the time our favourite setting would have been demist, down on cold, and these vents open. Or on a winter's day, we'd have that halfway, with these vents perhaps halfway, or perhaps only the outer ones open, with it on the demist setting. Of course, you've got the heated rear window on these cars, and that was just down there to help demist the rear window. Now I think I've covered everything with the ventilation system. As always, if you found this video useful or any of our others, don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you found it useful, and share it. Don't forget we've got a Twitter and Instagram page, and it's well worth looking back through our videos to see stuff on our MG Metro, or of course our 45s and 75s. As always, thank you very much for watching.